I want to talk about something that is difficult to say out loud. When I was going through the hardest period of my life, the piece of fiction that made the most sense to me was not a self-help book, not an inspirational story, not something comforting. It was Berserk. A manga about a man covered in scars swinging an oversized sword through a world that never stops trying to destroy him. And I think the reason it made sense is because Berserk understands something about surviving that almost no other story is willing to say directly. It does not tell you it gets better. It shows you what it looks like to keep moving anyway. Kentaro Miura worked on Berserk for over 30 years. He died in 2021 before he could finish it. What he left behind is the most honest portrait of trauma and survival I have encountered in any medium. This is why I think that most anime protagonists are inspiring because they are exceptional. They have gifts, they have the power of friendship, they have a destiny. Guts is not inspiring in that way. Guts is recognizable. He was born with nothing and hurt from the beginning. He learned to be alone because closeness had always cost him. He built walls that kept him alive as a child and slowly suffocated him as an adult. When I read Guts, I do not think, I want to be like him. I think, I know this feeling. That wall. That refusal to let people in because letting people in has historically been how you get destroyed. Miura did not write a hero. He wrote a person shaped by damage, which is a much harder and more valuable thing to write. The eclipse is the event at the center of Berserk where everything Guts loves is taken in one night. I will not describe it in detail. I will say that it is one of the most brutal sequences in manga history and that every time I have seen someone criticize it for being gratuitous, I have disagreed completely. The eclipse had to be that bad. Because the question Berserk is asking for the rest of the story, which is whether Guts can choose something other than rage and isolation, only has weight if you understand what was taken. You cannot write a convincing story about a person learning to live with catastrophic loss if the loss is not catastrophic. Miura understood that. He did not flinch from it. That honesty is what makes the rest of the story matter. Griffith was harder for me to sit within Guts. Because Griffith is not a monster you can dismiss. Griffith is a person with real gifts and real relationships who, at the moment of maximum weakness, chose himself over everyone who loved him. I did not want to understand that choice. I wanted to condemn it cleanly. But the more I sat with it, the more I recognized the logic, even if I reject the outcome. When everything you built has been taken, when your body has been destroyed and your pride has been ground down, the temptation to take back your power at any cost is not monstrous in origin. It becomes monstrous in execution. Griffith is what happens when someone acts on that temptation fully. That is terrifying specifically because the starting point is human. The thing that surprised me most about Berserk is that it is fundamentally a story about learning to receive care. Guts spends most of the series refusing it. Being taken care of feels unbearable to him because being taken care of as a child always came with a price. The people who want to help him in the later arcs are genuine. He cannot accept it. He keeps dismantling every connection that forms. And watching that pattern, seeing it named and examined with such precision, made me look at some of my own patterns differently. The armor that protects you from being hurt again is also the thing that prevents you from being healed. That is not a comfortable observation. It is an accurate one. I had not expected a manga about Vikings and demons to be the thing that made me think about it. Miura died before he could finish the story. That is a real loss. But I want to say something about what he did complete. The Golden Age arc, the origin story of Guts and Griffith and the Band of the Hawk, is a complete tragedy that stands entirely on its own. It is about friendship and betrayal and what happens when a person's dream requires other people to be fuel for it. If Miura had published nothing else, that arc would be enough to cement his place as one of the greatest storytellers in manga. He published decades more than that. The story he left us, unfinished as it is one of the most ambitious and psychologically honest works in any medium. I am grateful it exists. Berserk is not comfortable. It is not going to make you feel good in the easy way. But if you have ever been through something that felt unsurvivable and survived it anyway, or if you are going through something right now, it will make you feel seen in a way that comfortable stories cannot. Sometimes the most valuable thing fiction can do is show you your own experience accurately, without softening it. Miura did that for 30 years. Subscribe for more videos about anime that deserves to be taken seriously, because this community has been sitting on masterpieces that most of the world has not discovered yet.